100%. And again, I think that also we need to, like, when people say, AI can look at patterns and understand stuff, I will also question that a lot of times. That, you probably read about GPT-3.
Yes.
So the OpenAI new
Massive, crazy
algorithm who seems to be super close to human intelligence, right? There's this company called Nabla. They work in healthcare, and they tried to make a GPT-3 powered chatbot. So 2 episodes. One, someone says the algorithm, hey, I'm feeling really depressed. And the algorithm is like, how can I help you? Do you think I should kill myself? Answer, I think you should.
Damn. Not trained particularly well, this chatbot.
But again, I mean, this stuff has learned from the entirety of the internet, So it's really hard to control what this chatbot is going to do. Another example.
How did they explain that result, like the researchers? Did they say anything like, okay, this is...
How many haters there are on Twitter? There's that you say, hey, I want to kill myself, I think you should, Right. This stuff has read all everything.
So they took that in, okay.
The thing is, it's so hard to control. I mean, it's in this massive, gigantic neural network.
Yeah.
Somewhere, there's,
somebody saying some shit.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one example. Another example that is less dark, but is equally interesting, I think, is someone said, hey, I'm very depressed, I feel sad, bored, what should I do? Do you want me to recommend you some activities? Sure. Okay, you can try to have a chat with a friend, watch a movie, or try to do recycling. It's like, what recycling? So yeah, if you recycle, it's good for the environment, and you can also get some monetary discounts in some countries. Monetary discounts are something that make humans happy, and also doing something good for their environment makes humans happy. So recycling is going to make you happy. It makes sense, rationally.
Yeah, but nobody would have thought of that.
But what the hell? So GPT-3, which is, again, the closest thing we have to general intelligence, it's dumb as hell. It's basically a parrot on steroids.
Yeah.
It has read everything from the internet and is trying to just mix it and match it.
Sure.
But it's extremely dangerous to say, okay, this is good to go alone without supervision from a human.
Yeah.
Go give tips to humans.
Yeah.
And every time someone has told me, because you have no idea how many of my clients and friends told me, hey, Gianluca, GPT-3 is out.
Shouldn't just use that. Yeah.
We want to do stuff with it. You want to do a chatbot for our patients. We want to automate this, automate that. Yeah. I'm like, hey,
write
guys,
articles, write all kinds of stuff.
It's a parrot on steroids. That's what it is. And if you want to write spam or do very simple things like booking airplane tickets, one thing that can happen is I booked the wrong one,
Yeah.
That's fine. Do you want it to talk to patients? Are you insane?
Yeah.
This stuff is just impossible to control. And by the way, it doesn't understand stuff. Like if you say things like Gianluca took the book. He put it something very weird, I don't know, sideways under the table or under the chair, and then goes to the toilet, comes back, where is the book? The AI can't answer that.
Right.
Because there's no data point of tilted books under a chair. It doesn't have reasoning. It looks like it has reasoning, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a parrot on steroids.
Yeah.
So I will also question, if this stuff is actually going to replace me or you or a lot of the jobs that we see around in the near future.
Right. They're not able to, they can obviously replicate patterns from the past, but they're not able to think about something new, like a new course or whatever.
I mean, this examples of very creative AI. But again, what do you want to do? Do you want this to be a neuroscientist? Do you want this to talk to patients? How are you going to deal with the fact that it may make mistakes and kill people?
Yeah.
Also a human can make mistakes and kill people, but if you put the two things together, it has been proven so many times. Humans plus machines are better than just humans or just machines. In healthcare, in playing chess, in whatever you want to do, it's always the best way. So I think the challenge then is how do we design new ways of working where humans can actually interact with machines? And then you understand why I focus so much on education, because I want your girlfriend to understand how AI works and what are the principles of AI so that she can use that in her job. And together with technology, she can do better than she will do alone, and what technology alone would do, because it will probably tell some of her patients to try recycling.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty creative. I think very, very few people would have come to that conclusion and suggestion to somebody.
It makes sense. I mean, when he explained the reasoning, and it was like, well, yeah, it's true.
But the same thing happens with Google and all that kind of stuff. Like nobody from Google knows how the search algorithm actually works. Like there's nobody you can point to in Google that can explain every single search result. The only thing that can do that is the AI that is powering the algorithm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before you see that for, I think, many other applications, I guess, not just search. But you mentioned GPT-3, and that's not general intelligence. It's much more, it's a parrot on steroids, as you say. But what about GPT 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, whatever it might be in the future?
So that's a very good question, and it's of course it's hard to say. And there are two schools of thoughts. There's people, especially Google. I actually had a chance to have a chat with Jeff Dean, who's the top Google guy.
Nice.
I met him in a conference.
He's notoriously famous. There's a lot of Jeff Dean jokes, I think, within Google also.
His phone number is the whole pie.
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff. But no, he's also extremely chill and open. And one of the things he says is that Google still thinks that more data and more computing power is the key.
Right.
So just more. And I get it, because if you see, people thought that the performances were going to saturate the more you increase data and increase computing power. It doesn't look like it's happening.
Right.
So GPT-3 is just basically, they took GPT-2, which was amazing, by the way. Then they said, hey, more
power, more data.
More power, more data, more neurons, more everything. And hey, it works so much better than GPT-2. So GPT-4, there's some people that say eventually, if we get to something that is as complex as the human brain, let's say, as powerful, with as much data, we're gonna get to general AI. That's what some people think. I don't necessarily agree with this, because the way that these things work, the way that these algorithms are built by trying to optimize a metric, it's just doing pattern recognition. And pattern recognition, it's not the only thing that humans do, right? Humans work really well when you're outside of patterns. So the way that GPT-3 was trained, which is basically given a set of words, predict the next one.
Right.
It's not how we think, you know. It's, again, if I make an example of something very weird, if I say, hey, Mark drank the book, something that doesn't make any sense, okay? Me and you would be able to imagine maybe a strange world where books are liquid, or maybe he blended it and then he drank it. And AI has never read anything like this, because, and for the way that it was built, so by predicting words, you know, they're going to come next. Since there's nothing in the world about Mark drinking books, it's just going to be completely like, I have no idea what is going on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, you can give it as much data as you can, since the logic behind it, the logic that allows these systems to learn, is still based on something that is fundamentally non-human, which is just predicting words one after the other. You're never going to get to the full spectrum of human intelligence.
But do you think we'll ever reach a point? The example that I like to make always is, let's say you see a cat running through or running past the window here. The human mind will immediately recognize that as a cat, because the object that passed by the window is, let's say, black, moved in the way that a cat does, is more or less the same size as the cats that I've seen in the past. So immediately my human brain, your human brain, will come to the conclusion that that was a cat. Whereas if you point a camera to the window and an AI had to recognize the object as a cat, they would have to scan through the entire database of cats with the right angle in terms of lights and the movement of the cat and all that stuff. And then when there is a match from a previous picture that was taken of a cat that matches whatever picture was taken with the cat passing by the window, then the AI will conclude that that's a cat.
Yeah.
But do you think we'll ever reach a point where AI, GPT-20, whatever it might be, whatever organization is going to have a breakthrough, where the AI algorithm thinks more and more similarly to how our brains resonate and come to conclusions?
I don't think so, because again, the way that these systems work, it's just not the way that we think. It's just by throwing examples, and we are pretty good also at imagining stuff that we've never seen. Look at science fiction movies. It's just stuff that just outside of
comes out of the human brain.
It comes out of thin air, and so in this imagine that general AI is somewhere that way.
Right.
Okay. Narrow AI is this direction.
Right.
What I'm trying to say is that we are getting always better and better in going that way. But it's just two different ways of working. You need to actually switch direction. There are researchers that are, definitely more authoritative than me that say we need to start from scratch if you want to do this. Because this thing is not going to work.